Hey guys, CJ here and welcome to another all-new edition of Hybrid News Now. We've got a really big video for you today with some topics ranging from the future of CW's Arrow to more details about Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. But first we're going to talk a little bit about Civil War. Now, since the movie was announced, there's been a lot of speculation as to what the team would look like following Age of Ultron and exactly what was going to kick off the whole Civil War house divided type stuff. Well, one of the movie's directors, Joe Russo of the Russo brothers, gave some exclusive details to comicbook.com about where the team stands at the beginning of the movie. So without further ado, let's take a look at his quote. We like to say that the amount of time that has passed in between films is the amount of time that has passed in the movies, so it's about that amount of time. We find Cap leading the Avengers. He's tutoring or mentoring Scarlet Witch in the beginning of the movie and bringing her into the fold. We find them on a mission at the start of the film. The effect that Ultron has had on everyone certainly is central to the storytelling of the movie. It's very strong. We're dealing with issues of collateral damage, imperialism, what rights do superheroes have to pursue villains across borders. It's very politically minded. Cap's dealing with all of that at the beginning. So there you have it. The Avengers are definitely in a very, very different place at the start of Civil War than they have been in any other Avengers movie. And while he didn't spoil anything specifically as to how the whole Civil War gets started in the film, it's not a huge logical leap to expect that that mission that they're on in the beginning doesn't go exactly as planned. The other really cool thing to me about those statements is how he mentioned that Cap is kind of teaching Scarlet Witch throughout the film what it means to be a hero, I guess. And so that's a relationship that'll definitely be something to watch in the movie. And on to our next story, what does the future hold for CW's Arrow? You know, rumors have swirled around the show for a long time, with the largest of these being that the show was going to end after a 5th season, given that that was the amount of time that Ollie was on the island, or that Amell was going to leave after this year. And I guess after hearing all of this kind of crop up, Amell decided that he wanted to clear the air, taking to Facebook. He said, Facebook, I keep reading that I'm leaving Arrow. I'm not. I have a contract that runs through 2019 at least. Now, that doesn't mean Arrow will run that long, but if it does, I'll be here. Any other questions I can answer? So 2019, that would be 7 seasons of The Vigilante, and that's a lot longer than I expected Arrow to even, potentially go on, but it makes sense that they've got Amell locked up for that long, just giving them kind of a sense of security, knowing that they would never move forward without that star. Now, that's also very much up in the air, and I'm not taking a shot at anybody. That's just the nature of television, and so a lot of this kind of ties into the success of this DC experiment on CW, because CW's kind of become the unofficial home for DC television outside of Supergirl. The CW, of course, it had Smallville back in the past, but it also now has Arrow and Flash, in addition to Legends of Tomorrow. So the success of those other 2 shows, in addition to Arrow, are probably going to play the biggest part in its future. But in any event, what would you want to see from a 5th, 6th, or even 7th season of Arrow after this one? And in our third story of the day, a little Batman v Superman snippet straight from the Consumer Electronics Show 2016. Various folks attending the show have reported seeing a special edition of Wired magazine with none other than Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor front and center, which is really cool. It's a new shot that we hadn't seen of the supervillain before. But the content isn't anything really new. It's actually what Wired released online last week, and there's a link to that in the description below if you want to check it out. But, as I said before, it's a pretty cool new photo of the character, and it actually juxtaposes very well with the bald picture that we had seen before. In another Lex Luthor tidbit today, Jesse Eisenberg did tell the LA Times that the scene where Luthor loses his hair is the greatest scene that he's ever acted in. So that's something to look forward to for sure. And on to our last story of the day, yet another comic book show might be hitting the airwaves in just a few years. Powerless, set in the DC universe, follows the lives of ordinary employees at an insurance company in a world filled with heroes and villains. It's being described as tonally similar to The Office, using that single camera setup, and has been ordered to pilot by NBC. How this is all going to work remains to be seen. How it'll fit into that comic book TV landscape, especially the DC TV landscape, we don't know yet. But personally, I kind of hope this is the nexus for DC shows. Like, I hope Supergirl will randomly show up in an episode, and maybe one episode we'll get Arrow or the Flash or somebody from that universe. I think that would be a nice touch, even though it's probably not going to happen because of cooperation with the networks. But I can dream. Even though that does seem like a long shot, it actually kind of seems like a refreshing change of pace from the existing shows, which are just supposed to be like one-to-one adaptations of characters. This is something that's rather original and kind of new, and it'll be great to actually see what happens when it does finally come out. So that wraps it up for the news today. Don't forget to vote in the 2016 Comic Awards in the link down below and check that out on January 15th. Signing off, this is CJ, and I'll see you on Monday.